Right, guys, I thought it was about time we might have a bit of a little bit of a catch-up bench-wise. Haven't been doing a lot recently. I've still, as you may be able to hear, still not quite 100%. So I've had a bit of a lingering old cold towards the tail end of December, and still lingering on now, so it's been a bit of a struggle, but I've done a few bits here and there, but production is down a little bit, I must admit. I was hoping, as you might be able to see here, we've got 148th aircraft. I was hoping to have these two well out of the way before Christmas came round, and then I've started this one out of sort of desperation as to try and get something just sort of made for myself over the period, but it was unfortunately not one of those sort of colds where you can actually just push on and everything's fine. You know, I literally just had to stop, so that was that. So, just getting back to it now, and I thought I'd talk you through what I got here, and more importantly, show you the things that we've had incoming, which has been, as I look at the pile, it's a little bit excessive, but it's not all Christmas, so that's one good thing. It's for like the whole of December, but we'll get on to that. So first off, what we got here is a 109, obviously, and this is an E3, and this is that Airfix kit that I've shown you before on the channel that I picked up at Telford. And I've chosen to do this in the Romanian markings because we've got a little bit of a thing on at the local club for a colourful build. That's the remit. So although this is green, you know, there's plenty of yellow on there, and I think it's probably about as colourful as you get, really. So that's going to be my entry. I painted this one with, what have I used? MRP ROM 65 on the underneath, and the MRP 04 for the yellow as well. And then I've used a Tamiya colour. It's actually the RAF dark green colour, which is XF81, and then I've gone straight on top of that with decals, and it's a little bit, I didn't put a gloss coat down, it's a bit of a matte paint, and I must admit I sort of got caught out a little bit. These are the pre-cartograph decals, it looks like, so although they're very good, I mean that's just the stencil data, you got everything there, there's nothing missing. They don't quite have the finesse that you would perhaps expect from sort of cartograph decals, so it's been a little bit of a pain to go down, and of course these weren't probably the best decals to try over on a matte surface, because this 64, for instance, is a big block of carrier film here, so I could have done a lot more. I was hoping for them just to go on nice and easy and not cause me much problem. They have gone down, they've sunk into the panel lines, we're looking alright, and I think once I get a gloss coat on there I can reassess it, and then I'm going to put the stencils on over a gloss. But apart from that, it's an interesting looking aircraft, nice little history to it as well, and good amount of references online. There's quite a lot of pictures of this one. These were used at Stalingrad, and if you didn't know, and if I haven't said it already, that's Romanian markings there, so something a little bit different for a 109. So that's that one, just ticking on. I must admit, this is like Airfix's, how would you describe it? It's them at their best, I would say, for their capabilities. And this will make more sense when we get onto the Spitfire. So as far as this is a very clunky design. I mean, there's, by that I mean sort of the way the fuselage joins to the lower wing, the main wing, sorry, they've got it perfect, there's no problem with the join or anything, but there's a hell of a lot of blocks of plastic in there. It's really, really solid, and you don't see anyone really make anything quite like that from what I can tell. But that seems to suit Airfix. Now, getting onto this Spitfire, they seem to have been, I suppose we've got a sort of, 2007, 2005, 7, maybe even 2010 model here. And then we've got one of the more modern ones where we're getting into sort of 2014, I think this Mark 5 is. And here, it's like they've overstretched themselves a little bit, I would say. There's plenty, they've gone, compared to the 109, they've totally gone for detail. There's plenty of detail here. Inside the cockpit, I can't imagine you'd really need much more. There's tons of detail in there. Very good all across the board. However, it doesn't really fit that well. I've got to be honest, the cockpit in there, for instance, is a little bit tight. You've got to sand quite a lot of things over to get them to fit. You've got this panel here as well, which covers the fuel tank. That's not right, so you've got to then fettle that back to fit that into the top of the engine cover there as well. It's all just a bit of a pain, really, to be honest. None of it's massively difficult, but there's no sort of flow to it. You know, it's the kind of the way Tamiya would break down a build, for instance, but you're lacking the quality, so it doesn't quite work for them. If you're asking my opinion. And I've built some kits past this, and I would say that, you know, they're quite similar. I don't know where they're meant to be. I think the 109 goes together a lot like how I would expect an Airfix to go together. But anyway, I'm starting to waffle here, so we're on to the Spitfire, and now it's got to the point where it's no problem. It's all together now. I have just today reworked this part here. I noticed as I painted it, where I'd tried to fettle it in to the top of the engine cover, I got a sort of step, so I sanded all of that back, which then lost this detail here, so you've got sort of 2 holes and then a filler cap. So I had to drill those back in, and then where I'd sanded the paint back a bit, there's a kind of difference. You might be able to see that shine there, but I'm pretty certain once I get a gloss coat and then come back over with a matte coat, that will eliminate this, and then I'm going to spray the MRP camouflage onto this tomorrow. So hopefully by the end of play tomorrow, should be ready to get on with the decaling with this one, so that should be quite good. Got a little bit of touch up on the bottom here, but I knew that going into it. I'm just hoping I don't have to do any of this. Where I've masked it, I'm hoping it to be okay, but in the block areas I've got a few sort of fingerprints and stuff, which soon go when I overspray them. So that's how that one's going. It's been a bit of a long-winded build, but you know, it's finally together. It's impressive. Nice to see the Spitfire and the Mark V. I think is probably where the best of the Spitfire is for me, with the cannons and bit of a chunkier engine and all the rest of it. It just kind of got the right feel for me, the Mark V. So enjoying that. Then we got the Airacobra, which is now back online. Planning to finish this again, probably get this one into paint tomorrow. So the Spitfire and the Airacobra and the 109 probably all going to find the finish line around a similar time. I have now fixed the control stick, which I mentioned about before, and that's just a couple bits of Albion alloy. It wasn't actually that much of a problem at all. I did rework some of these seams because in the time that it was sitting for about a week or so, I did notice that there's starting to get a bit of ghosting on the seam lines where obviously the Tamiya extra thin was still working. So that should get around that. And now it's just kind of putting on the photo etch, and I think, you know, an afternoon's worth of work will probably see this into paint. So I've got all the sub-assemblies cut off and everything, so yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and I do like the Airacobra. It's a strange aircraft, but I kind of like it, I've got to be honest. If the Allied aircraft is a funny old thing, just sort of captures that look of the mid-war period of funny old fighters that weren't all that good, but you know, they had to be used because that's all there was. So that's how those 3 are coming on, and I'm certainly enjoying that. Now we'll get on to having a look at a few kits. So first off, in no particular order, and there's absolutely no theme to the things I've bought here. Oh, there is one theme, I suppose, and we'll get onto that in a minute, and it involves these 2 numbers here. So I saw this one come up on Hannants, and it looked like a reasonably easy kind of build, interesting aircraft, and was quite cheap. This one was on special offer, so I believe it's about, I put it like this, for less than the kit is actually retailed, I got this and HGW belts and delivery, all for under what the RRP would be. So I think that was probably altogether, it's about 31 quid, something like that. Nothing too problematic. And in here, this is not the expert edition or whatever it is. There's another edition with some etched metal parts. So here I got HGW belts, which is pretty much all I could see this really needed. Possibly you could argue wheels, but you know, I'm not going to worry too much about the wheels. Interesting aircraft, and I'm pretty sure I'm thinking about the Boxer or the one with the Eagle. The Yak 3 fighter was a pretty good aircraft, and pretty much knocked out most of the German aircraft it was going up against through it being better, if not actual numbers as well. There wasn't much of a Luftwaffe, to be honest, by the sort of 1944 period anyway, as I'm sure much of you know. So yeah, I'm looking at this one here, or possibly and probably this one here. So quite like that. It's general Russian stuff, you know, blue, the 2 greys over the top. Nice looking kit. I've had a look through it. Clear parts are nice and clear. Simple build. You've got lower wing, lower part of the wing, upper part of the wing. Fuselage sits on top of it, and that's pretty. You know, you're pretty much there then. Seen some build reviews online. Looks pretty simple, and I'm really enjoying I was really enjoying building some of the aircraft in larger scales, and I'm thinking, because there's plenty of them around in 1/32 scale, which is actually quite good prices, so ranging from anyway, I've got the Revell Spitfire Mark II. Not that that's a great kit, but that was £11, for instance. So running from 20 up to sort of 50, you can get some reasonably good aircraft, and it covers most of the range. And I'm thinking about doing one of probably each of the fighters from the one of each of the fighters that I'm sort of interested in 1/32 scale. So not too many, maybe 5 or 6 fighters. That was the sort of thing I was thinking of. It'd be quite nice in 1/32 scale. I do have the Revell FW190, which is a alright build, alright kit, sorry, and the BF109 G10, and I've also got a Mustang down here in my pile as well, which we'll get onto in a minute. So that's what that's all about, and good price, still on Hannants. So if you want to check it out, have a look in the special offers or search for the Yak 3 from Special Hobby and you'll see it. Speaking of Hannants, it is probably worth pointing out, had to go to the shop as I was around Hendon, and these are the 2 things I picked up, which I didn't mind paying full retail, didn't want to go too mad, but I'd like to give them a little bit of trade. Now this kit here is very nice, been after it for a while, just haven't been able to pick it up. It shows, surprisingly. So nothing to really report, it's all very good. Nice reviews online, and nice little 1/72 kit to build out the box. This one I've been after for a while because I've got some decals to go with it. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a letdown. I know the kit's sort of the 90s. I know there's plenty of flash there and stuff, but the clear parts, I won't get it out because I've taped it all back up, but the clear parts are actually unusable, I would say. They've just been sort of mismoulded, so don't know what to do about that. I'm not really bothered about getting a vac form canopy, because that's going to be sort of a tenner on top to get it in a set. I might have a look, there might be one, I'm not sure, but I haven't really spent too much time looking at it. But so a little bit of a disappointment from that. Then let's have a look at some of the Christmas presents. So we have got some, I did get a couple of unusual kits, and it being Christmas, this was my one extravagance that I would have never bought myself. This kit is over £50, which is ridiculous. Not due to the quality, it's a lot of money to spend on a 72nd aircraft. Even if it is resin with white metal, etched metal and all the rest of it, it's still a lot of money. But this was a present, so, not a lot to be said about that. We've got 2 Spanish markings and a Portuguese marking. I will I think I'll definitely be going for the Republican marking, which is this one down here. So, got a white fuselage, blue top fuselage, red band, and then some quite good lettering all across the underside of the wing. So, should look quite impressive. So that will go along with all my Spanish stuff. You've got white metal struts, which helps with the size of the wing. There is a build of this in Airfix Model World, surprisingly, and it does seem to go together about as well as you could hope for. So that's good to know. Big bag of resin, obviously full resin kit, including clear parts, also cast in resin. And I've also got the mass set for the clear parts and some silver outlines for the porthole windows as well. As I was there, why not? I think I did get a discount from Hannants from this, so I think this was literally like £47 or something with the stuff, because I picked it up at Telford, got it delivered there. So extravagant, but interesting nonetheless. Then we've got a few other bits, so let's start with these, and this will link on to the next bit. So so this is the other 1/32 kit, which again, if you see it and you look at it, I mean, you can't really, you can't argue, that's for sure, and you can't really dispute the quality of it. And this was £18.50 because I got this when Hobbycraft were doing half price on Revell kits. So, I mean, you know, what do you say? It's pretty much an out of the box build. I've got some, I've got this set actually, which I saw, which was the same price as all the rest of it. You could just get HGW harnesses, or there was one of these left on Hannants, which has got a resin dinghy for the back of the seat, wooden decals for the floor, and then 2 types of harnesses. So I thought this was a no-brainer, but I'm actually looking at it. I've never had these. They are steel fabric, but you have to cut these out. I mean, that's not a massive problem, but they almost look like a piece of paper. But I've checked, and it is textile, but different way of doing it. I've never seen these HGW belts before, but I'm sure they're give the same effect. So we've got those, and that's to go onto this, and it is a cracking kit. This is the P51D, but it's the early version, so it's the one without the fillet there. So that does limit your options, but it's no worse off for it. I'd actually be doing there's a Desert Rat option in here, which I don't think we get. You can see, no, we've just got this Louis, I think that is. But nevertheless, it is a nice kit, and the option I'll be going for is checkered around the nose. It's olive drab on the top and grey underneath. You've got full cockpit placards on the decal sheet. I mean, there really is nothing missing apart from, like I said, seat belts. So that's sorted that out. So for just over 20 quid, that should be quite an impressive model. Now, all of these 1/32 kits I've got for a reason, to try and hone the skills. So the idea is to build them out of the box, not get lost in the add-ons or anything like that, but it's to get the working on the seams down and getting sort of finishing sorted out and trying to get some of the skills honed. If you do them on larger scale, my idea is that shrinking that down to the smaller scales should be no problem. So that's the reasoning behind it. I don't know whether I have enough space to display them or anything like that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Got to build the thing first. So there we are. That's a nice little addition. Again, it's worth keeping an eye out for these sort of deals because, you know, like I said, £18.50 is it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Then I picked this one up. This was on order for ages, so I think I put this on order at Telford. It's just these have all turned up at the same time, so it looks like I've been over extravagant, but I assure you I haven't. This is probably 2 months worth I'm showing you here. A lot of you probably got this kit. Not a lot to be said on it. No point doing a review or anything. It's all been done before, but if this is the way Tamiya are going, well then, fantastic. Let's hope they re-release all their 48th kits, because it's superb. They are challenging Eduard, I would say, here. Yes, you haven't got the rivets, you haven't got a few other things, but from my opinion, it's better for it, I would say. I think rivets are overdone in 1/48 scale when you got their 109 and their Spitfires are riveted to hell. Personally, I would argue whether you'd even be able to see it in that scale, and if you need to. It does enhance the surface texture, but I don't know. I'm in two minds of it. I think I'm happy that not everyone does it, because then you can take it or leave it. Certainly when you make an Eduard kit, it looks spectacular, but I mean, the ease of this kit, it's just, you can tell just by looking at it. I've seen builds online as well. You can see how well it's going to go together, how cleverly it's thought out, how many options you've got. I must admit, to the level they've gone to, Tamiya, I am surprised they didn't just add in an extra part on the sprue here of the flattened down cockpit canopy section, so you've got the really early Mark 1, and why you didn't just get a twin bladed wooden propeller. That's all they had to add, and you know, you'd have almost every version of the early Spitfire, but they haven't. Who knows, someone might jump on the aftermarket for that. So the one in here I'll be looking at is, and I do intend to build this relatively quickly, is just probably, don't know, I might do it on camera, not sure, might do it as a photo build or something. It's more just a build for me, to have a kind of nice kit just to build and enjoy. Not that I don't enjoy building them on YouTube, but it is a little bit of a different way of going about it. I'll be looking at this one, because ever since the film Dunkirk, whether you like the film or not, when the Spitfires fly over, you can't help but love it. And I wanted to do a Dunkirk one, so we've got Operation Dynamo here from 1940, and that is a Dunkirk Spitfire. And in fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I haven't researched this, but I'm pretty sure when I was at Duxford, this aircraft is in their collection and has been restored, and it was rescued from the beaches of Dunkirk in the 80s, and it crashed there in 1940, and I'm pretty sure the pilot went all through the war in a prisoner of war camp. Now, do mention in the comments whether I'm right or wrong about that. I know I read the stuff there, so we certainly got a Spitfire, which is the story I've just described, but I'm pretty sure it was QV. Not sure if I can't remember if it was N3-200, but I'll look into that. Nonetheless, this is the aircraft I'll be doing. It is nice to know, whether you've seen this or not, I'm not sure, that they do have a pre-war Spitfire there as well, which has got the early roundels, so a lot smaller. So that's again a nice option. And then here, this is what I'm talking about, whether they could have just chucked in the twin-bladed wooden propeller and the early canopy, and I just thought that would have just been very inclusive, but nevertheless they haven't, and the kit's not worse for it. So that's the new 148th Tamiya Spitfire, which is, in my opinion, one of the best kits to come out of 2018. Then we've got another Christmas present, which again, I knew all about these, but there you go. Imam Romeo RO37 BIS, which is the bigger engine, so it's got a radial engine instead of the inline engine version of the RO37. Obviously used in Spain with the Legion Condor. Special hobby kit, which is the actually the classic airframes kit, which has been just repopped by Special Hobby, but I'm pretty sure they built them in the first place and sold them to classic airframes. So it's gone back and forth, and now it's back again. Lots of extras in here, as you can see. So you've got a whole fret of photo etch. All of this here is resin. These parts were resin in the classic airframes kit, but I'm pleased to see that they're actually put back into plastic. It'd be a bit fragile in resin, I think. Yeah, don't know what kind of build this is be like. I'm guessing it'll be medium to difficult, but nevertheless it looks pretty straightforward as far as the breakdown's concerned. Solid wing, solid fixing points for the upper wing to the lower wing, and a nice camouflage option there. Lots of windows on the side of this aircraft as well, so you do see quite a lot of the interior, so that's useful. So no promises on when that one will be built, but hopefully it'll make an appearance at Telford. So what's that, 11 months? Then we've got another thing that happened, which was the Christmas meet at the club, which I managed to get myself to before I came down with said illness that I mentioned before. And I managed to pick this one up. We do a sort of swap, so you take some kits and it's all on the table, and it's all got to go, so you've got to take something each time you go up. So I did grab this one. And this is topical as I'm looking to go back into tanks for a little bit. So do a build. I'll probably do one or two builds on camera, but you know, not massively. I know most of you are aircraft guys. And in here, I was quite surprised. It actually came with the whole lot. There's a set of tracks in here as well from Air Fee Club, as you can see there. So just unbox them to make life a bit easier. So as this was a free kit, as I mentioned, all of really needs to be added. I've got a photo etched fret there. I think all of this was under a tenner. I think these again on this do look on special offers on Hannants. It's well worth it. I think these were £1 or £1.25. They're just wheel masks for the Pershing. Not needed, but at that price, well, it saves even trying to worry about how to do them. So that makes that a bit easier. I will add a barrel to that, although they are £10 for a barrel, and it seems over the top, but there you go. I think you need a metal barrel on a gun like this. But I do like some of this American armour. It's not all just German stuff for me, and certainly like the Pershing, impressive beast. I will be doing it as a World War II vehicle, although there is a Korean War vehicle in the box. We've also got a Super Pershing down there as well, but that's also a Second World War one. But that's something else for another day. So that's how things are going here at the minute. We better get something for you to look at, otherwise you just hear me talking to, you'll be looking at a blue background. So there we go. Well, I'll leave you with the 109. All of these builds will be So the three 148th aircraft that you've seen there with the Spit, the P400 and this one will be on the channel relatively soon. I hope to sort of knock these out in the next week or so. No promises, obviously. There is a group build I'm hoping to sort of do something to, although I've been delayed a little bit with that, which is the All at Sea group build from Ian Poulton. So whether I get onto that or not, I'm hoping to, so we'll just have to see how we go. Looking at a sort of Vickers Wildebeest and the A model Dornier Weil for that. I think that's probably about it. All there is left to say is thanks for all the support in 2018. Channel grew massively, very happy for that. Still well on, subscribers are still going up, so that's great to see. I think well into 2,000 now, 2,200 or something. Who knows, so 3,000 might be around the corner if I'm lucky enough. So I'm going to keep adding content. I'm going to pretty much more of the same as far as I'm concerned. I'm not planning to change much, so I think I'm pretty solid with the format and the way the channel's going, with updates. Reviews have dropped off a bit. I don't think that's a bad thing, really. Probably drop a review in here or there, but only really if it's topical. I don't think there's much point doing the same thing that 100 other people have done. Focus more on builds or chats or talks like this, or obviously things to camera as well, like I've done before. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I hope everyone had a good new year. Hope everyone's had a good start to the new year, because we're well into it now, 2019. And I'll be seeing you shortly with a build video. So yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the channel. Stick with it. If you are, look forward to the next video, which will be up shortly, which, as I say, will be some sort of build video. So whether it will be just a sort of final reveal and a talk down of this one, or whether it will be the full builds of the P400 and the Spitfire that are coming. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.